We are doing our daily learning in the book of Mishlei Proverbs. We're already up to chapter 29, which means we're pretty close to the end of the book. I have 31 chapters, so we're getting there. So thank you to everyone who's been with us, and God willing, we'll be going forward. So we're Mishlei chapter 29. King Solomon says, Ish tochachot makshe oref. Someone who's a harsh person is also harsh to accept things. They're often the same person who's happy to be harsh towards others is unlikely to accept any kind of constructive criticism. And about that person who's very inflexible, what happens when you have a branch that's very inflexible? The second you bend it, it cracks. So peta yishaver v'en marpeh. Suddenly they'll break, and there will be no way to recuperate and heal that. Next is King Solomon speaks about the importance of having good governance. Birvot tzadikim mismach ha'am. As there are many righteous people in charge in government and positions of influence, then yismach ha'am, then the nation is going to rejoice. And if the wicked rules, then that is something that is going to cause the entire people to sigh, to be sad. Next is verse 3. Ish ohev chochma yesamach aviv. Someone who loves wisdom is going to bring joy to their father. And the father can either be speaking about literal father, or it can be speaking about God. But having a love for wisdom, a love for learning, is going to bring joy to the father here. But someone who is always looking into immorality, promiscuity, and wasting their time on that, they are likely to cause a loss of wealth and of money. Next is on the importance of the justice system. Melech b'mishpat yamid eretz. A king, the only way a king can have a society stand is through justice. You can't have a society, an economy that's based on just goodwill and an assumption that everyone's going to do the right thing. You have to have a system where people actually, can be held accountable. Melech b'mishpat yamid eretz ve'ish trumot yeher sana. And someone who is arrogant and has no empathy is going to destroy that society. Next, verse 5, Gever machlik al re'eu, a man who is speaking smoothly about their friend, Gever machlik al re'eu, reshet pores al pamav, is also often putting down a net, setting a net to hunt that same friend. Befesha ish ramokish, when someone wicked does something wrong, that causes destruction for everyone. V'tzadik yaron v'samech, and a righteous one will be rejoicing and happy. Yodea tzadik din dalim. A righteous person, if you want to be a righteous person, part of being righteous is being able to empathize, being able to understand the position another person is in. And so, remember that when you see a poor person, a righteous person sees a poor person, and he knows what that person's going through. He feels the pain. So Yodea Tzadik Din Dalim, a righteous person knows how to empathize, knows how the poor person feels. However, Rasha lo yavin dat, a wicked person has no understanding of what it's like to be poor, to have pain, to feel suffering. Next is verse 8, chapter 29, verse 8. Anshei latzon yafichu kirya, the people of mockery, the people who mock everything serious, who don't take justice, charity, kindness seriously, they will cause a city to go down in flames. But the wise ones are going to cause the anger to subside and rebuild the society. Next, ish chacham nishpat et ish evil. If someone very smart gets in an argument with someone who's very, not only not smart, but stubborn, that's only going to cause the smart person pain. V'ragaz v'sachak ve'ein nachat. It's going to bring about no good. Sometimes people who are smart get into arguments. It's not going to help if the person is stubborn and not interested. Next is Anshei Damim Yisneutam. People who are seeking to do evil are going to hate someone who's righteous and simple. Sometimes being righteous and simple gets the people who are seeking to cause harm, gets them angry. So Anshei Damim Yisneutam, Visharim Yivakshu Nafsho. But someone who's honest and just is going to seek to hang out with the innocent. Kol rucho yotzi ksil, v'chacham be'achor yeshabechena. Sorry, a angry person, a foolish person is gonna, when they argue, they put out, they yell, they scream, they get all into it, and then a wise person, all they need to do is to pipe a little word, and they knock down the entire argument. Next, Moshel makshiv al dvar sheker kol meshartav Hashem. A person who's in charge of something, who is listening to falsehoods, that means if the person who's in charge is listening to falsehoods, that means that those who are also within their company are also not necessarily, doing something good. Next, verse 13. If someone who is poor and someone who is deceptive meet each other, sometimes God enlightens the eyes of both. There are situations where the wicked makes a mistake that enriches the poor person in a good way. So that's also from God. If someone who's foolish and commits theft ends up doing something that is charity and gives, thank you to everyone, by the way, who's with us. If someone who if someone who's wicked makes a mistake, he gives charity to someone, then that is all coming from God. Next is absolutely important, again, about good governance, verse 14. Melech shofet be'emet dalim, a king that judges the poor people with justice, with compassion, with truth. That king is going to have a throne that will be established for eternity. If a king is committed to justice, if a king is committed to being kind and helping, that chair, that throne is going to forever reside. Next is verse 15. Shevet v'tochachat iten chokhmah. Wisdom guides you in the right way. You don't need it. Sometimes people who are foolish go through the difficult consequences. They eat unhealthy foods. They get themselves into the disease. But if someone is smart, they avoid all the negative consequences of foolish decisions. Shevet v'tochachat iten chokhmah. The wisdom is just like suffering the consequences in the sense that you don't have to go through the consequences to learn the lesson. V'na'ar meshulach mevi shimo. And a young boy, a young lad who's just, takes his own path and ignores everyone else, then that young boy is going to cause pain to their own mother. Next is we're in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 16. Birvot reshaim yirbe pesha. The more wicked people there are, the greater, this seems obvious, but the more wicked people there are, the greater the injustice that takes place is going to be. However, even if they commit a great injustice, the righteous are going to stand by and eventually see the downfall of the wicked. Now, this next verse has to do with child rearing, because a lot of times people think, oh, I'm going to let the child take their own path, which is important. We saw before, you're supposed to let a child find that you're supposed to educate them according to their own special character. But if you think that giving them zero guidance is going to be good, think again. So King Solomon says, make sure when you raise a child to give them guidance. They will be thankful to you. A lot of times people think, oh, I'll be nice to the kid and they'll be thankful to me. I'll let them eat whatever they want. I'll let them drink whatever they want. And then they'll be thankful to me. No, the more guidance you give them, the more they will be thankful to you. Now, you obviously can't overdo it. You obviously need to tap into the message that works for them, but the child will be thankful for the guidance that you give them. Next, we've seen before is a verse similar to what appears on the Mossad logo, which is if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a plan, then things fall apart. When there is no vision, then a nation falls apart. If you have a nation that doesn't have an outlook, asking itself, okay, what's going to be in another 5 years from now? What's going to happen in 10 years? What's going to happen in 50 years? Then that nation can get wiped out. But someone who keeps the Torah, someone who has a vision, someone who has a goal and a meaning, then that person is very, very blessed. Next, verse 19. Sometimes when someone is too addicted to something negative, to something wrong, then it doesn't help to talk to them because they're already addicted. And now, very important lesson about how fast we speak. And I must confess, I often speak pretty fast. If you see someone that's rushing in their words, they'll say anything about everything, they quickly speak, then a fool has more hope than that person. Meaning, if you see a wise person that's not thinking about what they're saying, that's speaking really quickly, then the fool has more hope than them. That is the learning for today. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Any comments, feedback are always welcome. Wishing everyone a beautiful day. Thank you so much for joining us. Wishing you all a very, very beautiful day. Have a good day.